Can we put things into perspective here? Can I show you something? Can I show you a few somethings, several somethings, specifically what they don't want you to see? Okay, maybe not that. Maybe not that. What they don't want you to know, what they don't want you to hear, realize, understand. I'm gonna try to share this with you from memory here. I have no script. I have no computer in front of me. I just got a golden doodle behind me, trailing me out here, trying to get himself into some mischief, I'm sure. And what they don't want you to see or know is the truth, which I will hold out until the very end. If you want to fast forward and skip to that part, then feel free. However, we need to talk about the lies, the fiction, the fake news first.
You don't deserve to be here because you're not a real journalist. What's your response to them?
Well, I'm pretty sure the group of people in there spent, 4 years covering for someone who was essentially dead, and that's being charitable in my description of him, a president by the name of Joe Biden. So to all those people who are apoplectic over having new media voices, you guys failed, and that's why we're here.
And Donnie joins me. Now, what else stood out to you?
And whether it's illegal immigration or freedom, for instance, Tim Walz refers to this American freedom as privilege.
If you say you love freedom and you want to restrict that and restrict certain groups, what you don't love freedom, what you love is privilege, and that's a different thing.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I got any runners out there, but apparently running will be banned if Democrats get voted into office.
Running as an act is political, and you know who taught me that? Tim Walz. The first thing he told me when I was first getting into it in high school, granted I don't really do it as much anymore, I go in spurts, but when I was first getting into it in high school, the first thing he told me was that running is a privilege, and being a part of the running community is a privilege that not all people have access to. Whether you do it recreationally or you race a lot or you are, at the elite level, it is a privilege. Whether it be you just having the time to run, access to funds to buy the gear, access to, healthy quality foods that fuel you as you're training and as you're running, access to, a safe, stable situation that allows you to be in a good mental state to be able to run. All of those things are hard to come by, and if you have them and are a part of the running community, that is a privilege. And that, again, was the first thing he taught me. So I don't really understand how platforming and administration that cuts mental health services, cuts, funding and literal shipments to food banks, is entirely hurting the climate, because you can get into running and the climate. That's a whole nother thing. But it's cutting, funds to climate initiatives and actively hurting the planet in that way, sending people away without due process, villainizing minorities. All of those things are preventing people from getting into the running community, which is what I thought Kate's platform was for. But it's also just damaging to society as a whole. We should not be normalizing these people. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with their page, but I think it's insulting to my dad to leave a certain video pinned, especially when he stands for quite literally the opposite of what this administration is doing. You don't get to both sides this. It's not both sides. We are quite literally talking about good versus evil here, and I'm just really disappointed the whole thing happened. I was there when that video with my dad was filmed, and I was very impressed with Kate, and this is just extremely disappointing.
Yeah, that's the push here, I think. I think that's what I'm picking up, what they're putting down. Granted, you would think that they don't want you to see Kamala Harris dancing, or at least trying to, maybe. Or you would think that what they don't want you to see is the truth behind MS-13, illegal immigrants and gang members.
My name's Angie Morphine Vargas, and I'm mother to Ruben Morphine. He was executed in the streets of Salinas in 1990. 34 years later, I could still cry for him like if it was yesterday.
My name is Maria Vera Vega, and I'm the mother of Marine and Border Patrol agent Javier Vega Jr. Our son, who went by Harvey, was murdered August the 3rd, 2014.
My name is Chris Odette. I'm an angel father. My daughter Krisha was killed September 12th, 2014 by an illegal alien in Rockwall, Texas.
This is my son Ryan and his girlfriend, both poisoned to death by illicit. I can't bring my son back, but we are doing all of this to save the future Americans from being poisoned to death by.
My name is Agnes Gibney. This is my son Ronald Da Silva, who was murdered by a previously deported criminal illegal alien gang member.
My name is Angel Ma Miriam Mendoza. This is my son, Sergeant Brandon Mendoza of the Mesa, Arizona Police Department, who was killed on May 12, 2014 by a repeat illegal criminal. Thank everybody in this administration for finally paying attention to criminals who harm Americans.
We thank the Trump administration from the bottom of our hearts.
Without them, there would be no justice for my daughter.
We're finally getting some justice in this country for our children.
This right here is what should be living here in America, not criminals that are coming in right now.
Came to fill out a protective order. I think it was in December. But I didn't show up to the court because his family washed my brain telling me that his dad was sick and not to do it. So I didn't do anything. But after that, it was I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports, and I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. Now they took a long time to get to the house. It was probably 20-30 minutes. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, all the bruises, because even on Wednesday, he hit me around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party, before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
I shared a clip with you guys, which I ended up inevitably watching to create the video yesterday, I believe. And President Trump was being questioned, interviewed, asked about the economy and tourism and Canada and the election in Canada, yada, 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 whatever. Okay. Big nothing burger. And yeah, it was ABC. It was some new guy from ABC for which President Trump was a complete savage. And he goes, you know what?
That was Photoshop. That was Photoshop, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry.
The only reason why I even allowed you to have this interview and picked you is because I've never heard of you before. What a boss move. He shut him down. And I think that this should be shared. This should go viral. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, click on some shit, share the video. YouTube told me the other day we had a 30-minute call, and YouTube says the more clicks that you can generate, the better for your channel. All right, well, click on some shit, okay? Because President Trump, DJT, the GOAT himself, he says, look, just wait. The numbers are going to come out. The proof will, be very clear, very obvious. The fact of the matter is that the media is lying, or was. We are the media now, and I'm telling you guys the truth. And the truth is, Trump's right. He has been all along, and I would be willing to bet and imagine that he will continue to be.
Of weeks, a couple of months. What's your timing, Mr. Secretary?
Well, again, Maria, as I said, the Chinese need to de-escalate these high tariffs, because there is the equivalent of an embargo, and the Chinese business model is built on selling cheap goods to the U.S. They sell us about 5 times more than we sell them. So, their factories are closing down as we speak. We're going into the holiday season. Orders are placed for that now. So if those orders aren't placed, it could be devastating for the Chinese.
Granted, I've had this chat, I've had this talk, I've had this discussion, I've had this conversation before. And what good is the truth if everyone believes the lie? That's a tough one there. But I'll let you guys decide what you believe and what you want to agree or disagree with. And here are the latest job reports numbers that completely just blew out of the water the expectations of experts.
All right, breaking moments ago, the April jobs report just released showing steady gains amid some economic uncertainty. I want to bring in CNN's Matt Egan.
The jobs report for April hitting the wires, non-farm payrolls, a greater 177,000.
What's interesting, the numbers, by the way, were very, I was a little surprised to see how strong they were, but this is very encouraging because we're already seeing many of the companies dependent upon foreign suppliers already reshoring some of their jobs. In fact, I talked just recently to a couple of entrepreneurs who are getting off their China dependency. They are going to other Southeast Asia companies for their supplies, and they're starting to look at domestic manufacturers. So they're putting orders in already for the third and fourth quarter for this. So,
for which I would imagine these experts are only experts at trying to make Trump look bad, trying to make Republicans look bad, trying to undermine this administration, and at its very heart, its very core, ruin and destroy you and I.
What are we seeing in the numbers? What is the context here?
Yeah, Omar, we were bracing for a slowdown in the jobs market. We did not get that. We got steady hiring. This jobs market is just relentless. Let me run you through the key numbers.
Yeah, let's do it.
177,000 jobs were added in the month of April. That easily beat forecasts for 135,000. So not even close there. The unemployment rate stayed low. It stayed at 4.2%. When we look at where the jobs are right now, we're seeing solid gains in a number of places. Accommodation and food services, right? Restaurants, hotels, hospitals, healthcare, private education, all of them adding jobs. One place where we saw a loss of jobs again was the federal government as the DOGE cuts to the workforce continue. But still, when we really zoom out here, this jobs market has been solid, right? I mean, 177,000 jobs, that, when we look at the trend, look at this. We saw that March was actually significantly revised lower to 185,000 jobs added. That's down from the original report. So you can see that there really isn't all that much of a change here, and these are still very solid numbers. Now, this is a big contrast to what's shown up in the surveys, right? We've seen so much gloom and doom from consumers, small business owners, CEOs. There's all of these concerns about the economy, about the trade war. One thing I would note as we look at the market reaction, futures were up ahead of this, they've remained up. One thing I would just stress is that this does not mean that the economy is out of the woods, right? It does not take off the risk of a recession, right? Because there is the risk that there's a demand shock, there's a hit to the jobs market that just isn't visible yet in the data, right? That it's something that we could be seeing more in May and in June. I talked to RSM economist Joe Bruce Wallace, and he told me, look, in some ways, this could be kind of like the last call for the economy, right? Kind of like on a Saturday night, this is the last song. Enjoy it while it lasts because there are all of these risks ahead. So I think the big question is this the calm before the storm? Or is it the calm before the calm? And I think we're only going to get that answer in the next few weeks and months, and a lot of that is going to be decided by what happens with tariffs.
And a major data point, essentially, in the sort of economic picture and what will likely be a forecast ahead. But that number coming in higher than expectations is the bottom line, at least for now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt Egan, appreciate it as always.
We're expecting, as Joe pointed out, 133,000. 177,000 would be the second best of the year outside of what's in the rearview mirror.
Americans, taxpayers, citizens, granted, even some who aren't Americans, who aren't taxpayers, who aren't citizens here illegally, don't think that this is actually for your benefit. It's only for their own. And eventually, soon enough, when the time comes, they will take a shit on you just like they have on everybody else, because they do not care. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about this country. They only care about their own personal benefit, financial gain, their wallet, their wealth, their corruption, their lives, maybe not even their families, themselves as individuals. These folks, again, you would think that they didn't want you to see Ilhan Omar telling a Daily Caller reporter to fuck off.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Rodrigo Garcia?
I think you should fuck off. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, what, Congresswoman?
Fuck off.
Who should?
You.
Why me?
We're not taking any questions right now, but here you go.
Yeah, thanks.
But they don't care anymore. They're saying the quiet parts out loud. They're taking shits on you, literally, on the hood of your car, which is crazy to think.
Can you tell us what happened?
The lady chased me. She chased me and I asked her not to attack me.
She chased you?
I have a sickness.
You said she chased you?
Yeah, she chased me. And I got out and begged her to stop.
Better to do. Listen to her side of the story.
And they will try and downplay and memory hole or fake news or, you know, whatever it is that they do in their propagandized rhetoric scheme of, I'm sure there will be a unanimous message here that we will hear today or tomorrow or the next day of everyone repeating like parrots whatever talking point or keyword they want to try and, you know, downplay this jobs report. But again, we determine what's real. We determine what's true. And even if they said the stock market's crashing, even if they said the jobs are tanking, even if they said inflation is on the rise, even if they said tariffs aren't working, even if they said all these things, what do you think? How do you feel? What's your wallet looking like? How's your bank account? What's your investment portfolio? How's your retirement going? It's like, I hear what you're saying. I see what you're trying to do, but over here it's completely different and it just doesn't add up. So to me, it seems relatively easy, simple to determine fact from fiction, but I'll let you guys be the judge.
You weren't always a Republican.
No, actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, part of it is he's an asshole. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone, her name is Candace Owens, and I read her book, and it just opened my eyes to maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
So you voted against Trump in 2016,
yes,
but then in 2020 you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.